Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we're going to make our list responsive. The first thing we'll do is add a list container around all the list elements, this gray container here. So we'll work on that first in our code. Move over to your code and we will add it in right here. So where my list is, drop that down, drop that fragment down completely so we have room to build a div. The div will be class name list. Now make sure you close that div after the mylist. And I'm going to put parentheses around this, my return statement. Your browser might do that for you. Perfect. Now go into list and let's make this on the top. Do this on the top so it will help us later on when we move to Sass. So list. And we're going to define the list as a grid. So let's display grid. But this is a different type of grid. We aren't going to use template columns so explicit like this. We are going to let the grid figure itself out. We will give it some inputs and we'll let it make its own calculations. So here we go on the list. Grid template, columns, repeat. This is the important part inside here. So auto fit. We're allowing it to pick its own fit, but we're giving it parameters, a min-max. The minimum amount I want it to display is 42 rem. If it can't display 42 rem, it must go to the next line. The maximum amount I'll let it display is 1fr, which is an entire line, an entire row. So that has the ability to resize itself well. Let's take a look at what we just did. That changed everything quite a bit. Now, it should resize itself if this gets too small, so let's make it too small. Perfect. And it should resize itself again when we make it too small again. And it did. Great, we're in great shape so far. Now, I want to make that gray outline because we do not have it yet, and that's the background color. And all we need to do with the background color is to make it gray. So just hash and F7, F7, F7. Now it's gray. That's going to look great. And it does, but I can't see it like I do the other app. There we are. Because the other app has separation from the side, making the gray stand out a bit more. So let's get that separation with a little margin. We'll do 3 rem. Now it looks good. That's exactly what we want it to look like. Now we have a few more things that need to change. In the original app, we had feedback when we moved our mouse over, not just the change of the cursor. We see that the shadow gets larger as the list item lifts off the page. So let's do that. First, we'll make the list item lift off the page. In our list card, right after it, dot list __ card, and we're going to go into hover. So on hover, what should it do? First, we want it to move upwards. So do transform, translate, Y. And you want that to move -2 pixels. Let's take a look and see if that's working. Yes, we are getting it to move -2 pixels. It's a bit jerky, and we will handle that in a moment. But first, let's work on that shadow, because that's what's happening in this tab. The shadow increases, so the box shadow is going to have to increase as well. So let's increase the box shadow here. Start with box shadow. We'll do the same 0, and then we'll double everything else. So 1.4 rem and 2.4 rem. Our color black can still be the same color black with the same alpha. Now let's take a look at that. That's great. It still is quite jerky, but it's doing everything we want it to do. So how do we smooth that out? That's a pretty simple thing to do. So we'll move over to our list card. We have this feedback of the cursor pointer, and after that, we want to have a transition time. So we'll transition, and we'll transition all properties in 3 seconds, 3S. That's way too slow, but I want you to be able to see it in slow motion. So here we go. That slowly lifts off the page over 3 seconds and returns over 3 seconds. That's going way too slow for us. What we really want is 0.3 seconds. We just got rid of all the jerkiness. That's perfect. That's nice and smooth. A nice smooth animation for each one of our list items. Great job. Let's keep moving forward with this. The big change we have left is this list title. We're going to have to define the list title in our HTML first, and then we'll have to style it with CSS. So go to list.js and define this title up here. We're going to call it list title. So const list title will equal div with the class name list title underscore underscore title, and I will call it list items. And there we are. So we just need to put this list title in here, right here. So make sure you open up brackets and put that list title right in there. Now list title will be on the top. That's perfect. Now if you put it in the wrong place, it would be right here. Let me show that to you because we don't want to make a mistake like that. And if we see that sort of thing happen, we would like to be able to fix it quickly. So here it would be in the first spot. There we are. It's taking up an entire grid. We do not want that. We want it to be on the top. But if you wound up with this, you know why you did. So let's remove that. And now we have what we want. Now let's go to our list.css here. We'll go to the bottom and we will define list title. List underscore underscore title. Now our list title, we need that centered, we need it large, we need it bold, and we need to add some margin to the top of it so it's not on the top. So let's just get started by making it larger. So display flex, we'll do a font size. We'll make it the biggest thing on the page at 3 rem. Remember that the name was 2 rem, so at 3 rem, this will be the biggest thing on the page. At font weight, 800 is quite bold, and that's as high as I'd like to go with it, so let's leave it there and take a look. There we are. This looks a lot more like a title, but I would like to give it a little more room to breathe and a little bit of air between each letter. You can do that with letter spacing. So let's add some letter spacing at 0.7 rem. Now we have letter spacing, but watch when you highlight. You can see that there is extra space after the S. That's the letter spacing that comes after the S. There's an easy, quick fix for this, and it's adding margin to the left. So let's add margin left of 0.7 rem. So we have spacing before and after the word, so it stays centered. So now this white part is equal to this blue part, and we can still center this in a pixel-perfect display. So let's center it now. Justify, content, center. Very good. We are in great shape now. There's only one more thing we haven't done, and that's create separation from the top. And this isn't new, so you could probably guess what we're about to do. We're going to add margin to the top. So margin top. And we're going to say 3 rem. We've done 3 rem in a lot of places, so it should look pretty even. So margin top 3 rem. And you'll see 3 rem until this container. And this container contains all of our list elements. So we have our title, we have our container, we have our responsive list elements, and we have our responsive container. Great job. We're in really good shape now. We've done quite a bit, but we are going to move on to making this into Sass, into SCSS. And then after that, we are going to make this even more interactive by including drag and drop in the list. In a list just like this, so an XY drag and drop. You could take this one and move it here. So reorganizing this list will be as easy as dragging this to here and everything else will move down. So the next lesson is on Sass. Good job, and I'll see you there.